we will discuss chapter 8, verses 14, 19, second section of verse 20. In this section, first section from 14 till 19, the Lord Krishna will explain that the devotee will worship me with Ananya Sita, one point and attention, that who is Nishkam, who has no desire than to please me. I give him the intelligence by which he can go back to Godhead. Then in the next verses, there Krishna describes the material world. And he will say the spiritual world is Dukkalayam Ashasvatam. And from the highest planet to the lowest planet in the material world, like a place of miseries, wherein repeated birth and death takes place again and again. And these material worlds, they are created, maintained for some time, and annihilated again and again. The Brahma's creation and the annihilation. And then in the second part, Lord Krishna starts to explain his Paramdham, start to explain the spiritual world. Then after that, he will speak about the yogi to attain certain planets in this material world. He must leave at an auspicious time. If he leaves at an inauspicious time, he has to come back. And Krishna explains all these conditions. And he says that these yogis, they go to these higher planets or whatever, but they remain in the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. A devotee is not concerned, my devotee is not concerned with these inauspicious and auspicious times to leave the body. He's not concerned with that because he's going back to Godhead by my grace. So this is a summary of the remaining part of the 8th chapter, and we will now start text 14. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ananya Sheta Satatam Yomam Sarati Nisyasam Tasyaham Sulabha Bhaktam Nityayutasya Yoginam. For one who always remembers me without deviation, I'm easy to obtain as Snapita because of his constant engagement in devotional service. You parts of the purpose. So this verse especially describes the final destination obtained by the unalloyed devotees who serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Bhakti Yoga. A bit of don't find it, but I see it in my book. But this verse particularly mentions pure Bhakti Yoga without any mixture of jnana, karma, or hatha yoga. As indicated in the word ananyaseta, in pure bhakti, the yogi desires nothing but Krishna. A little further, the Prabhupada refers to the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the pure devotee is called Nishkam, which means he has no desire for self-interest. Perfect peace belongs to God. So whereas a jnana yogi, a karma yogi, or hatha yogi has his own self-interest. What's the self-interest of the jnana yogi? Yes. He wants liberation. The karma yogi? If he's sakam, if he's nishkam, then what does he want? Please? That is the next stage, ideally. And the hatha yoga, the Ashtanga yogi, what does he want? Yeah, that's the bona fide hatha yogi. Mostly they don't want that. The yogis. They want mystic powers, other things. That, all liberation.
So what is Nishkam Karma Yogi? Nishkam Karma.
Nishkam karma yogis. Karman evadakaraste mafalesh kadach. That's Nishkam. That's doing one's duty without being attached to the result. That means when there's not one's duty to fulfill desires. No. Therefore, the calm is nishkam, no material desires. Nishkam. So further it says, such a devotee meets with none of the problems that plague the practitioners of other yogis. Simply by chanting Hare Krishna, he can attain perfection. The Lord is especially inclined toward those who always serve him without deviation. Bhagavad Gita 10:10. The Lord gives such a devotee sufficient intelligence so that ultimately the devotee can attain him in a spiritual kingdom. The Lord gives him sufficient intelligence. How does he do that? How does he tell it? 10:11. Teisham evanakampatam ammakyanam chantanam asacham atmavastukam vitanavastata. From within the heart, with the torch of knowledge, Krishna burns away our ignorance. That's how he gives. So But the pure devotee can live anywhere and create the atmosphere of Vrindavan by his devotional service. So that was what Lord Chaitanya told to Advaita Acharya told to Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya had just taken sannyas and in Gatwa, and then he was wandering from one place to another, and he wanted to go to Vrindavan. And Nityananda saw him coming, and he saw he said to a few farmers who was standing there, if this gentleman asks you the way to Vrindavan, show him the way to the Ganga. That anyway, the Lord Chaitanya came there, asked the way for Vrindavan, they showed him the way to the Ganga. And when they came out the Ganga, Advaita Acharya was waiting there on a boat with clean underwear for Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya arrived and said to Advaita Acharya, what are you doing in Vrindavan? And Advaita Acharya said, wherever you are is Vrindavan. That's wherever Prabhupada was, he created the atmosphere of Vrindavan. We have still the atmosphere of Vrindavan in so many temples all over. That's the problem. In the last part of the purport is the 5 ways the Bhakti yogis are engaged. Santara, Stasya, Sakya, Madhurya. Different purpose. And again, at the end of the purport, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama. So, this verse is an important verse that Ananya, verse 14. Ananya Sheta. So, Ananya Sheta. This means that the devotee has only one desire, is to please Krishna, no other desires. And because he does not have any other desires on to please Krishna, he's niskam, peaceful. He's different from the Nishkamka yogi. Nishkamka yogi has no material desires. It's acting out of duty, but not yet to please Krishna. So then it goes back to yogi. So, and Krishna says, I'm easy to obtain. The process of the Astanga yogi or the Jnana yogi, they have to overcome so many material impediments that, but a devotee's practice chanting and hearing about Krishna, remembering Krishna, he can do everywhere that. Yes. So he does not need to live in Vrindavan, he creates the atmosphere of Vrindavan. So because the devotee is always thinking of me, we have heard a verse spoken by Lord Narayan to Srivasa Muni, that the devotee always thinks of me, and he has no other thoughts on or intention to please me. He's always thinking of me. And Krishna says, I'm always thinking of my devotee. It's an intimate relationship. So because the devotee is always thinking of Krishna, Krishna is very favorably inclined to it. And it gives him the intelligence to attain the spiritual world. by the blessings of the following the process of chanting Hare Krishna, a devotee cannot forget the Lord for a moment, and the Lord cannot forget your devotee. And now Krishna starts to speak about, in a few verses, about the miserable situation of the spiritual world. But first we have a quote on 14, New York, 1966. For example, Srila Prabhupada says, my residence is Vrindavan. That is a place of Krishna, where Krishna advented himself. Now I'm in America, in your country. But that does not mean I'm out of Vrindavan because I think of Krishna always. It is as good as being in Vrindavan. I'm in New York in this apartment, but my consciousness is there in Vrindavan. Krishna consciousness means you already live with Krishna in his spiritual planet. You simply have to wait to give up this body. Very nice. But now we go back. The next verse. Mamapetya punarjanma dukkhalayam shasvatam napnavanti mahatmana samsatim paramam gatim. So this was dukkhalayam ashasvatam. Memorize them. Dukkhalayam ashasvatam. Full of misery, and it's temporary. That after attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries because they have attained the highest perfection. So since this temporary world is full of miseries of birth, old age, disease, and death, naturally, he who achieves the highest perfection and attains supreme planet Goloka Vrindavan does not wish to return. Note the word wish. If you wish to return, you can, but you do not wish that. So the supreme planet is described in the Vedic literature as Aksara, or as Abhyakta and Aksara and Paramgati. In other words, that planet is beyond our material vision. It is inexplicable. The last line of the purport. These devotees in Krishna consciousness achieve the highest perfection of life. They are the supreme souls. So the material world is miserable and temporary. So, but by Gandhi developing devotional service, beginning with hearing, the Mahatmas lose all desire to get elevated to any planet in this material world, except Krishna Loka, the supreme spiritual planet. Srila Prabhupada says that 15. So, of course, those who are speaking know that dukkha alaya. Alaya means place. Dukkha is misery. Dukkha alaya. Bhagavat Vidyalaya. Vidyalaya. Alayam, place of study. Vidyalaya. I think that's the word for a school in India. Vidyalaya. Vidyalaya. Yeah. Nice. Anyway, and that we have also Bhojanalaya, place to eat. Bhojanalaya, Dukkalaya, and Ausadalaya, place to get medicine. Yeah. Yeah, probably others. other words. You know other words in Hindi with alaya?
Vishwavidyalaya.
Hmm?
Vishwavidyalaya.
Vishwavidyalaya. Oh, okay, Vishwavidyalaya. Okay. Good. Thank you. Okay. 16. Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Punavartinarina Mamapechat Kauntiya Punarjanma Napichate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest are all places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. That's 16. That we go a little further in the purport. Yeah, we are just so. But if on Brahma Loka one does not cultivate Krishna consciousness, then he must return to earth. Those who progress in Krishna consciousness on the higher planets are gradually elevated to higher and higher planets, and at the time of universal devastation are transferred to the eternal spiritual kingdom. But that takes a while. You have to wait till the end of the creation. Therefore, demigods are very eager to take birth in ISKCON because in the human form of life, in 1, 2, or 3 lives, you can go short lives, you can go. But from the perspective of Brahma, a human life is not even a second, the fraction of a second. So what's the meaning for him from human life? In his time consciousness. That, yeah.
Is that like Krama Mukti versus Sadhya Mukti? Krama Mukti means, instant, they get liberation. Like going to Brahmalok and then along with Brahma.
Yeah.
That's called Krama Mukti.
Yeah.
Gradual, right?
Yeah.
And Krishna consciousness is Sadhya Mukti.
Sadhya.
Immediate.
Immediately go. That yes, that is true. But you have these 2 paths in the Vedic literature: Pravriti marg and Nivriti marg. Our path is Nivriti marg, the path of renunciation, because we do everything for Krishna, nothing for us. The path of renunciation, perfect renunciation. But Pravriti marg is a gradual path. You go first to the heavenly planets, enjoy there, and then you try to be elevated to a higher planetary system, which is mostly that doesn't happen. Mostly they are elevated from the human form of life directly to the higher planets, higher planetary systems above the heavenly planets. And that Marloka, Tapaloka, Janaloka, Satyaloka, that and they are not not annihilated in a partial annihilation, so they remain there. And at the end of the creation, if Brahma is a pure devotee, then they go with Brahma to the spiritual world. But that's a very risky business because you can come down again. Yeah. So Baladev Vidyabhushan, in his commentary on Bhagavad Gita, quotes this verse: Brahmana sate sarve samprapte pratisanjare prasyante ketatmana pravishanti prampatam. When there is a devastation of this material universe, Brahma and his devotee who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness are all transferred to the spiritual universe and to specific spiritual planets according to their desires. So that is verse 17, 16. So the they elevate themselves to higher planetary systems. That how they do that is nicely described in the book Journey to Other Planets by Lord, written by Srila Prabhupada. How they do that is explained there. That, but they come to these higher material planets and they have to also suffer birth and death. So, therefore, if one neglects devotional service, he falls finally back to this earth. Only by devotional service can one attain the heavenly planets and not take again. That's 17. And now the creation, repeated creation, maintenance, annihilation is described. All this material world, it's all temporary. That everything what we imagine today, all these cultures, all these races, all these countries with their so-called leaders who live who live in the estimation of Brahma less than a fraction of a second. It's so crushed apart and gone. That's Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Harayat Pramano Vidu Ratrim Yuga Sahasrantam Tiratra Vidochana. By human calculation, 1,000 ages together form the duration of Brahma's one day, and also such is the duration of his night. So all these calculations you find in the purport that so these 100 years by Earth calculation total to 311 trillion and 40 billion Earth years. That's the lifetime of Brahma. It looks like eternal. That yes, this is 17. Then we go to 18. Avyakta Vyaktaya Sarva Prabhavantya Karakame Ratyagame Praliyante Tatya Vyakta Samyake. At the beginning of Brahma's day, all living entities come manifest from the unmanifest state. And thereafter, when the night falls, they are merged into the unmanifest again. Uttagam Payam Bhutva Paliyate Ratyakame Vasapahta Prabhavat Agame. Again and again, when Brahma's day arrives, all the entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated. So, what is the purpose of this section? Is to help us to develop detachment for the material world in our heart. That because less intelligent persons, they want to remain in the material world, but their activities are limited to Brahma's day. They spend their time repeatedly going up to the higher planetary systems, going to the earthly planets, and at the end of Brahma's day, they remain in an unmanifest state for billions of years. Billions of years. We have all done that. But intelligent devotees, they use their life to perfect devotional service and to transfer themselves to the blissful planet of Krishna Loka, which is described in the next section. that. So yeah. So how long is the life of Brahma in relation to Vishnu's time? Interesting. You have a question? Yeah. Well, the point is, this is a joke. Someone asked Lord Vishnu, "Oh Lord Vishnu, I heard $1 for you is millions and millions of dollars for us. Is that true?" And Lord Vishnu said, "Yes, my son." And then the person asked the Lord Vishnu, "I've heard that 1 second for you is trillions and trillions of years for us. Is that true?" And Lord Vishnu said, "Yes, my son." And then the person asked, "Please, can you give me $1?" And Lord Vishnu replied, "Yes, wait a second." So anyway, so Brahma's time is different than ours, our perception of time. But from the perspective of Brahma, it takes also, for him, his lifetime is like 100 years for us. He has the same experience. That's interesting. It's a different time experience. That for Lord Vishnu, the whole creation is one exhalation, then inhalation. So that doesn't take long. That's the creation and all the cosmic annihilation. But for us, it's so long that so when who is on the spiritual platform experience time different. That I don't remember the name. It is in the Purana somewhere. Srimati Radharani and Krishna and another devotee were together, and the devotee said to Srimati Radharani, in the spiritual world, he said something which was not nice. He made an offense, and he started to fall down to the material world. Srimati Radharani said to Krishna, "Krishna, get him back." And he was immediately back. But in the meantime, he had undergone millions and millions and millions of births in the material world. So if we go back to the spiritual world, it's like we never left. The time experience is different. That like when Narada Muni, we hear that in the first canto, when Narada Muni, he we read in the Bhagavatam, when he got his spiritual body, his experience was like a flash and a lightning, and it was in his spiritual body. But then he entered the body of Lord Vishnu, and he came out again by Brahma, from Brahma's mind. He appeared again, but he appeared in his spiritual body. Was not created by Brahma. That because the spiritual body is eternal, he had his spiritual body. But he was in the body of Lord Vishnu for trillions of years. Like one can say, "Oh, is that reasonable?" He gets liberation and then is in a dormant stage for millions of years. But he was on the spiritual platform, on the same spiritual platform as Lord Vishnu. And for Lord Vishnu, the whole creation, it's like an exhalation. So he experienced that in the same way. So on the spiritual platform, time is different. On the higher planetary systems, the time is different. Time experience. That's explained in the Bible. Yes.
Why is it that consciousness is constantly dropping across the universe?
That constantly is constantly dropping universe, that I understand, but I don't understand what you are saying.
Why is it that consciousness is constantly dropping across the universe? Like, is there something specific that's causing that, or?
You mean with dropping, you mean diminishing? Yeah, because there are different destinations in the universe, and that's explained in the fifth canto very much. So also in Bhagavad Gita, we will learn that in the 14th chapter. If you act in the mode of ignorance, then you go to the animal world, or you go to the hellish planets, the lower planetary systems. And means your consciousness is more covered. Our spirit comes more dense covering there. And in the on the earthly planets, the human form of life, it's like fire and smoke. It's covered by smoke, but we have to remove the smoke and put fire by practicing Krishna consciousness. And that's unique, the human form of life. The humans, they can expand their consciousness unlimited. That's unique. That cannot be done in the lower planetary systems, cannot be done in the higher planetary systems. Because in the higher planetary systems, the covering and the tendency for sense enjoyment is too strong. It's not possible. But the purest consciousness you find on Mahaloka, Sanaloka, Tapaloka, the lowest consciousness of Rasatao, Palatao, and so on in the lower planetary systems. Yes, that's Krishna's arrangement. We will hear that also in the 15th chapter of the Gita. In the beginning, the first 4 verses, Krishna gives an analogy of the banyan tree. That and you are close to the root, means you are close to the spiritual world, Brahmaloka, Satyaloka. But if you are down to in the tree, then difficult to get out. That yes.
Whereas this means that as we move up the planetary system, and the time contracts, and as we move down the planetary system, the time expands. For example, if I'm standing on Brahmalok and 1 second of Brahmalok time passes, that means millions of Earth years have passed. So that means if I stand on Earth and I spend 1 second, I am spending many days on the lower planetary.
That's I never heard about the lower planetary systems of being very different in time than ours. Because the lower planetary systems, they are quite close to us.
But how?
They are quite close to us in comparison to Brahmaloka. That we are not really in the middle. That more or less, but that's because you have the lower planetary system, they are close, and then you have the Garbhadaka ocean, and that takes, like maybe at least 1/3 of the universal egg. So there is not so much space between the lower planetary systems and ours. So the time difference will not be so big. Of course, there will be time differences. But then between us and the heavenly planets, it's also it's quite a distance. But like if you say that I just tell between us and Svargaloka, I don't know what's the distance, but let's say it's 1 million miles. Then the difference between Svargaloka till Brahmaloka is trillions of miles. So that's just when you make a model. We did that in the class when we discussed the fifth canto. So you have dawn, you have the Cappadocia Ocean, you have the lower planetary systems, the Earth, then you have the little above Svargaloka, and then above at the ceiling, you have Brahmaloka. It's such a distance that it's such a distance we cannot imagine. That's in that sense, but yes, time is different from planet to planet. We know when you go to the moon, astronauts go to the moon. That's 1 moon day is 30 days. It's 14 days sun and 40 days night. That in that way, we can understand 1 month on Svargaloka, on heavenly planets, is 1 day here. So that, but 1 day here on Brahmaloka, we cannot calculate. Anyway, these are details. Yes.
The story of the king taking his daughter Revati, wife Lord
Yeah.
Brahma.
Yeah, that's in the Bhagavatam. But you have also the story of King Indradyumna, who wanted to discuss with Lord Brahma the installation of Lord Jagannath, and he arrived there with Narada Muni. And Narada Muni, and they had to wait because Brahma was just looking at a dancing and a musical recital and dancing of apsaras, and it took 20 minutes. They had to wait 20 minutes, and then the King Indradyumna was inviting Brahma to do the installation. He presented himself as the king, but Brahma said, "We are here already 20 minutes. Hundreds of generations have passed on the earth, and that all those you have known have passed away or gone." So we can understand that time difference. Good. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, about here.
Yeah.
But I question that process of the work here is looks like they have a morning, noon, evening. And the service is going to continue like this. But how
The time has no influence there.
yeah,
In the spiritual world, Krishna control orders the time. that one is not under the influence of the time, but the time is used in Krishna's pastimes. That therefore, yes, they are going to this day after day. But
Is it like the way of the Alaska? In Alaska, they have a day, time, and a long time. And then Alaska, I have it. They feel what, but I'm just trying to.
like the rasa dance, that normally a night doesn't take long, but the night took practice the day of Brahma, that they were dancing with Krishna. So the night expanded because they needed more time. The time is a servant of Krishna's pastimes in the spiritual world. That nobody here, everyone is under control of the time. That therefore we become old and so on. Everything degrades. But that influence is not there in the spiritual world. But anyway, this is inconceivable for our material brains, but it's a fact that time is a servant of Krishna's pastime in the spiritual world. So we will now have a break, and we will resume at 5 to 8. That's okay. And then we will go to the last part of chapter 8. Thank you. Hare Krishna, we will continue with the last part of chapter 8, verses 20 till 28. So in this part, Lord Krishna starts now with describing his spiritual world. And after describing the spiritual world, that Krishna describes that the karma yogi, the jnana yogi, or the hatha yogi, they must leave their body at a certain time. Otherwise, they will return to this world. And the conditions are described. There are two paths during the light and during the night. During the first 6 months, when the sun travels to the north, the last 6 months, when the sun travels to the south. Anyway, that's all described, these two paths. And then it is said the devotee is not concerned with them because he surpasses the yogi in many ways, and Krishna, he personally arranges for his return to the spiritual world, so he's not concerned, but he's higher than this. So that's a summary. I will start with text 20. Parastasmat bhavanyo vyakta vyakta sanatana yas sarvesu bhutesu nasyatsu na vinasati. Yet there is another unmanifest nature which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifest and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and it is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that path remains as it is. So, the end. Krishna's superior energy is completely opposite in quality to material nature. Superior and inferior nature are explained in the 7th chapter. Pumaravnalabhayo, the material nature. Aparyam ityam me. Besides that, there is the spiritual nature which comprises the living entities. that we heard before. That now 21, Krishna continues to describe his paramam gatim. Avyaktaksar ityuktas tamaho paramam gatim yam papyanani bhastante tadama paramam maha. That which the Vedantis describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which having attained it one never returns, that is my supreme abode. Thus, we explained this verse during the last Sunday peace lecture, that the abode of Krishna, which is described in Brahma Samhita, Chintamani Pakarasatmaskalpa Vichalakshya, Vitesha Srovira Pipala, and Maxmisa Satasamana Sekamana, Govinda Madhurasha, Venam Kavantama Vindada, Sasitam, Koti Kamania, Vishesha Shubha, Govinda Madhurashantamam. These two verses are transliterated by Srila Prabhupada and explained in the purport. And thus practically the entire purport, and at the end it says that when Krishna descended on this earth, he sported on that particular tract of land known as Vrindavan, comprising about 84 square miles in the district of Mathura, India. So now Krishna's abode, that is Paramgati, the supreme destination, and it is non-different from Krishna himself. Goloka Vrindavan is described here in the Brahma Samhita as being full of palaces, desire trees, Rabi cows, goddesses of fortune, that Govinda is playing his flute and attracting everyone. So in Krishna's abode, all desires are fulfilled, and when one goes there, one does not come back to this world. So our Vrindavan on the earth is a replica of Goloka Vrindavan in the spiritual world, in the spiritual sky. That replica. Now we hear more about Krishna's abode. So the previous section was quite pessimistic about the material world, Dukkhalayam Ashaspatam, and it's created and annihilated again. And here we have Krishna's abode, which is quite different. That Purusa Saparamparta Patyalapyas Pananya Yasyantastani Bhutani Yena Sarvam Idantatam. Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is greater than all, is unattainable by unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in its abode, is all pervading, and everything is situated within that. So yes, this is Krishna's abode is full of spiritual bliss. That is flawless. The atmosphere is penetrated by devotion and is manifested in variegatedness. The variety we know here exists because it exists in material world. It is a perfect reflection from the variety in the material world. So, and Krishna appears there as the supreme deity, although he's in his spiritual abode. Krishna is also all-pervading by his energies and is situated in everyone's heart, Paramatma. But his energies, they systematically carry out everything in the cosmic manifestation without flaw. The spiritual planets are only attained by unalloyed devotion. So I think we have some quotes here. 21. Prabhupada was once asked while he was in Vrindavan, what's the difference between Goloka and this Vrindavan? So the Prabhupada said, no difference, but your mind is in America. That's that problem. Srila Prabhupada, Govinda Das, preach while you are young. When you are old, retire to Vrindavan and chant Hare Krishna. But you cannot retire unless you have preached sufficiently. The mind will agitate. If you have preached, you can retire and chant Hare Krishna. So preach as much as possible. That is a nice quote. But, then you can go to Vrindavan. That, good. 22. Of course, so Prabhupada said, none but your mind is in America. That's interesting. That this seeing the Supreme Abode, if we hear sufficiently, we can see that there's the whole 10th canto about Vrindavan. The Vrindavan pastimes are there. We have Krishna book. So before you go to sleep, Srila Prabhupada said, yes, you must hear Krishna book. That of course you have, I'm a little lazy indeed. I have Krishna book here, but audio, and you can hear Krishna book. But no. It's not an app. Just type Krishna book audio YouTube. It will come. But yeah. Anyway, it's an internet issue, but you can hear it, a whole chapter, 20 minutes before you go to sleep. Krishna's dictation, so Prabhupada's dictation tapes on Krishna book. That, and then is at least you are going to sleep with Krishna. And the next morning, you get up. Usually the next morning you think of the last thing you did previous evening. You think of Krishna, it's nice. But in the evening, you have Krishna book, then your mind is in Vrindavan. Please?
Total 104 videos.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Amala Bhakti Maharaj. That very much. Good. Text 22. That's 23. Puja Saprapartha Bhaktya Labhyasthananya Yasyantastani Taniyena Sarvam Idam Tatam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all-pervading, and everything is situated within him. That was 22. That the 22. We read first. It is here clearly stated that the supreme destination from which there is no return is the abode of Krishna, the supreme person. The Brahma Samhita describes this supreme abode as Ananda Sinya Rasa, a place where everything is full of spiritual bliss. All the variegatedness manifest there is of the quality of spiritual bliss. Nothing there is material. That variegatedness is expanded as a spiritual expansion of the Supreme Godhead Himself. For the manifestation, there is totally of the spiritual energy as explained in chapter 7. As far as this material world is concerned, although the Lord is always in His abode, He is nonetheless all-pervading by His material energy. So by spiritual and material energies, He is present everywhere, both in the material and the spiritual universe. Yasyanta Stani means that everything is sustained within either His spiritual or material energy. The Lord is all-pervading by these two energies. To enter Krishna's abode or the innumerable Vaikuntha planets is possible only by Bhakti, devotional service, as clearly indicated here by the word Bhakti. So to go back to the spiritual world, you must perform Bhakti, you must come to the stage of love of God, Prema. Otherwise, that's your passport. That's your visa. Why I'm saying visa? That many years ago, I was in 2004, I was in New Vrindavan. No, it was 2007. 2007, I think. Anyway, I was there because I was secretary from the global GBC. They invited me to the North American GBC meeting. And there were also seminars. My government, Bhakti Chairman, gave a seminar. I invited everyone to speak about his dreams of Prabhupada. And he asked me to speak, and I had one dream of Prabhupada. That was in the beginning, I was just chanting 16 rounds for a few days. I had a dream of Prabhupada. Prabhupada was sitting on an ashram, and there were many devotees around him, and I was one of them. And he had a stack of small booklets, and he put one, looked at me and said, "This is your passport for the spiritual world." And he gave me that booklet. And then he said, "Now you have to work on your visa. So you have to become qualified. You have to work on your visa." Therefore I said, yes, one needs a visa. And that's Prema, passport of Prema. That otherwise you cannot enter. And unfortunately, all the other practitioners, the jnana yogis, the karma yogis, the hatha yogis, they don't get the visa. That's not possible. So that's a problem. Those who depend on karma yoga, jnana yoga, and hatha yoga must leave the body at a proper time. That's the next verse. Next verse. Now Krishna will speak about them. Yatra kalatvanā avritim sheva yogina payanta yantitam kalam vakshami bharatashva. The best of the Bhaktas, I shall now explain to you the different times of which passing from this world, the yogi does or does not come back. So those who depend on Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Hatha Yoga, they must leave their body at a proper time, that otherwise they will return to this world. The devotee, every is different. He leaves everything in Krishna's hands and easily he returns back to the spiritual world in different process. So the unalloyed devotees of the Lord, who are totally surrendered souls, who do not care when they leave their body or by what method. They leave everything in Krishna's hands and so easily and happily return to Godhead. But those who are not unalloyed devotees and who depend instead on such methods of spiritual realizations, karma yoga, jnana yoga, hatha yoga, must leave their body at a suitable time. Hare Krishna. And now we will hear about these suitable times. In a few verses, Krishna will explain this. 24. Agnir Jyotirak Aha Sukla Sanmasa Uttarayanam Tatra Payatra Gachanti Brahma Vidojana. Those who know the Supreme Brahman attain that Supreme by passing away from the world during the influence of the fire god in the light at an auspicious moment of the day during the full night of the waxing moon, during the 6 months when the sun travels in the north. So, in the light, it must be during the daytime, that at an auspicious day of the time of the day. And that during the waxing moon, during the Gaura Paksha, not during the Krishna Paksha. That's, yeah, Gaura Paksha. And during the first 6 months when the sun travels in the north, that starts with Makara Shakanti, 6 months. That and then, yeah, that's auspicious time for the yogis. Of course, during the day, during the waxing, additional points is quite complicated. I heard most those who want to marry according to the Vedic system, they want to marry during these 6 months and not during the last 6 months. That's most marriages that are done during that time. But anyway, that's what the yoga is here. That I was speaking about marriage. The 24, it says, few sentences. If one leaves the body at the time designated above, either accidentally or by arrangement, it is possible for him to attain the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. That's their destination. Then at the end. However, for the pure devotee in Krishna consciousness, there is no fear of returning, whether he leaves the body at an auspicious or an inauspicious moment by accident or arrangement. 25. Tumaratishtata Krishna Sanmasa Dakshinayanam Tatra Chandrama Samjyotir Yogi Papyani Bhaktate. The mystic will pass away from this world during the smoke, the night, the fortnight of the waning moon, or the 6 months when the sun passes south, reaches the moon planet, but again come back. During the smoke, the night, the fortnight of the waning, or the 6 months, the sun passes to the south. They come back Bad luck. This means that on the moon there are higher classes of living beings, though they may not be perceived by the gross senses. That's an important point to consider, that we have the tendency to say, what we can see and perceive exists. But what we can see and perceive is very limited. That there are other dimensions we learn from the Bible, which we cannot see. Other dimensions from which things are taking place, that we see in our dimension, what we can perceive. And that's our perception. We heard from Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is in the heart. He controls material nature. Does anyone see how he controls material nature? Nobody does. Does that mean no one can see? No. That, there are different ways of seeing. One can see to knowledge. That not only to the eyes, but therefore knowledge in devotional service is very important. Knowledge is the next neighbor to the soul. By knowledge you can perceive that Bhakti used to say, if I just see someone's face, I know how he's situated. Just because the face is the image of the mind. Everyone who had known Prabhupada, they knew I cannot hide anything from Prabhupada. Prabhupada could see to them. So their contamination, their convictions. 26. Shukla Krishna Gati Te Jagata Sasvate Mate Ekaya Yatana Vitim Anyaya Bhaktate. According to Vedic opinion, there are two ways of passing from this world, one in light and one in darkness. When one passes in light, he does not come back, but when one passes in darkness, he returns. Prabhupada writes here, those who are fruitive laborers and philosophical speculators from time immemorial are constantly going and coming. Actually, they do not attain ultimate salvation, for they do not stand. That's 27. Naitashri Bhakta Janam Tasma Sarveshu Kalisham. Naitashri Bhakta Janam Yogi Mayanti Kashana Tasma Sarveshu Kalishu Yoga Yukta Bhavayana. All the devotees know these two paths, Arjuna. They are never bewildered, because therefore be always fixed in devotion. That at the end of the book. Rupa Goswami advises Anasaktansya Visayanyataktan Payunyata. One should be unattached in material affairs and do everything in Krishna consciousness. By this system, it is called Yukta Vairagya. One attains perfection, therefore the devotee is not disturbed by these descriptions, because he knows that this passage to the Supreme Abode is guaranteed by devotional service. So a devotee has no concerns about this two paths. Therefore, Krishna advises to Arjuna, be always fixed in devotion. Devotional service is explained in the purport, means Yukta Vairagya, being unattached to things in this world, but knowing they belong to Krishna, not to me, and therefore I should use them in their Krishna's service. So one engages in that way, and at the same time chanting Hare Krishna is assured to go back to the Supreme Lord. Vedeshe Chakeshu Tapasu Shiva Dane Sayat Punya Phalam Tistam Atyeti Tatsam Idam Viditva Yogi Pamsthanam Upayam. A person who accepts the vow of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifice, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these and he reaches the supreme eternal abode. So we know that the other paths are leading to partial realizations of Brahman and Paramatma, which are also included in the realization of the devotee, which is Bhagavan realization. They are included. Therefore, the devotee gets also the benefits from all the other paths. So those who perform austerities, to give up sense gratification, those who give charity, those who are studying the difference between matter and spirit, the devotee has perfect knowledge because he has realized this knowledge, that he attains all this. So, few important quotes of Srila Prabhupada. Study of the Vedas is not meant for the recreation of armchair speculators, but for the formation of character. So that is what we do. That's one of the purposes of this course. It's in this knowledge, hearing by what it should churn in our heart and change our character. And help us to develop a divine character, divine qualities. We will hear in the 16th chapter next week about the divine and the demonic. That the divine Abhaya, Sattva, Samstutir, Jnana, Yoga, Vyavastita. And so on. Krishna gives a whole list. Abhaya, we should come fearless because we are eternal. That's good. So and our character should be as such that Sattva Samstutir. We should try to get rid of our selfishness and become selfless servant. That's purification of our existence. Jnana Yoga Vyavastita. One should study and take guidance of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. That should be our guide to develop these divine qualities of which are described in the 12th canto at Advaita Sarvabhutanam, that envious towards all humanities, from equal in happiness and distress. So many qualities. More tolerant than 3 Lord Chaitanya says, more complex, all qualities which lead to formation of our character. And then further, one should try at the end Anyway, one should try here to understand these chapters, not by scholarship or mental speculation, but by hearing them in association of devotees. And then further. Paragraph. One who has little faith in Bhagavad Gita should learn Bhagavad Gita from a devotee, because in the beginning of the fourth chapter, it's clearly stated that Bhagavad Gita can be understood only by devotees. And further, when one searches for a devotee, unfortunately gets devotees association, one actually begins to study and understand Bhagavad Gita. At the end, this is the highest perfectional stage of life, enables the devotee to be transferred to Krishna's abode in the spiritual sky, or Lok Vrindavan, where the devotee becomes eternally transferred. So that's very encouraging for us. That in summary, simply by performing devotional service, one can surpass all the rituals of all orders of life and all these different processes of jnana. There's also jnana yoga, karma yoga, hatha yoga. So in the middle chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, that one should hear that in association of devotees. When hear this confidential knowledge, one can achieve the results of all penances, charities, and so on. So one must hear Bhagavad Gita from a devotee of Krishna in order to actually understand Krishna. By association, one gets devotional service, which dispels all misgivings and makes one fixed in his study. So one then relishes his study and attains the state of always feeling Krishna conscious and falls completely in love with Krishna. Thus one attains Krishna's abode and becomes eternally happy. Yeah. So that's mentioned also in the third canto text. We can look it up here. Go to the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto. Now it's 33, 7. Opatashvapatato Shifrevartinam Tipustapaste Chuvushas Nuvariam Pamana Chunamihinam. How glorious are they whose tongues are chanting your holy name. Even if born in a family of dog eaters, such persons are worshipped. Persons who chant the holy name of your Lordship must have executed all kinds of austerities and fire sacrifice and achieved all the good manners of the Aryans. To be chanting the holy name of your Lordship, they must have bathed in all holy places of pilgrimage, studied the Vedas, and fulfilled everything required. So this verse 8 factually summarizes chapter 7 and 8, describing the supreme position of Bhakti. At the end of chapter 6, we heard that the devotees are greater than the ascetics, greater than the empirics, greater than the fruitivorous. So this verse clarifies that point by explaining how a devotee is the best. By his devotion, a devotee automatically gains the results of all other paths without even desiring them and enters the spiritual world. No. So especially if we go back to Gita. Yes. Of course, this text 27 is perfect. The devotee should be formally as established in Krishna consciousness and Hare Krishna. He should know that concern of either of these paths is troublesome. The best way is to absorb in his service, and it will make one's path to the spiritual kingdom safe, certain, and directly. So this anasaktasya vishyamyata kampayunata. One should be unattached to material affairs and do everything in Krishna consciousness. That is Srila Prabhupada's mission. And what is it's said here, so one can understand all this here in Bhagavad Gita only when one hears it from a devotee of Krishna and discusses this among devotees. So that's preaching. That's Prabhupada's mission. So that's the end of chapter 8. At 11, we will start chapter 9, the most confidential knowledge. Krishna has established that the devotee is the best. And now we will hear the details of Bhakti, the essence of the Gita. Any questions? Yes. Accidents that's in this world, Srila Prabhupada said, nothing happens by chance. But yes, accidents, if we speak it, we can look at it from different angles of view. Krishna says, I know past, present, and future. And that is interesting. If our future is outlined, do we have free will? That's an interesting question. But I asked Prahlad Nanamat, does Krishna knows what we are going to do? Prahlad Nanamat said, no, Krishna doesn't know. But still he knows our future. In which sense he knows our future? Well, that all those who are not in Krishna consciousness, it's easy to predict what's going to happen with that. They will get a reaction of their past activities. And if you see their actions today, you can know their future. We can also know their future. And they have no choice. They cannot use their free will because they are thinking, they are the mind. They have to follow their mind. So that's their future is fixed practically. No free will, they cannot execute their free will. But the devotee can execute his free will. And we have to be very careful. So in that way, but accidents can happen in the sense when you are not yet a full devotee, you are still half under the influence of Maya. And the influence of the mind over you is very strong. Then sometimes an accident will happen. And yeah, but we have to stand up and go again. But in that sense, accidents can happen. And Srila Prabhupada speaks about that in the purport of 334. Even on the most nice road, accidents can happen. Prabhupada says. On the royal road, even on the royal road, accidents can happen. A man may be married and have a wife, but he feels attracted also to other women. And that attraction must be curbed. But one should be very careful. There can even be an accident on a royal road. Of course, that's women attraction, but also for women, man, the same is there. King Bharat, that is not really an accident. Was not an accident. Because it did two things willingly. Willingly, he did two things. Willingly, he neglected his sadhana. And willingly, he became over-attached to the deer. And that was his problem. If you neglect your sadhana, then you don't have the strength to protect yourself against Maya. He willfully neglected his sadhana. That is. And then, therefore, then the accident came. But the accident came because he out of his own will, he stopped his sadhana. And why this happen? He neglected his sadhana and no association of devotees. Maya said. So it's predictable that it will happen. Because I'm a member of the Sannyas ministry, Yadunanda Maharaj, he made a whole analysis since the beginning of our movement, reasons why sannyasis fell down. One reason is certainly immaturity. Usually, unless you are an exception, it's best to be in a movement for at least 20 years. Practice. There are exceptions. An exception was Bhakti. Certainly he was an exceptional person. But that's very good. Yes. Eternal association. That's very good. But then besides that immaturity, there is neglect of sadhana, and especially the main reason is no sufficient peer association. So it's not only giving association that the sannyasi must do. He must take association in different forms. Like I have an agreement now with Yadunanda Maharaj. Every year we are 2 weeks together to get association. So that's all. I'm going to Spain, we have association. That's nice. But that's necessary. Anyway, thank you very much. We will meet at 11 to get in the most confidential knowledge. Moving up